The concept of immortality usually makes us think of something that can't end or be slain. However, in the case of the elves, it simply meant that they couldn't die from old age or sickness, unlike the race of men who were prone to both. So if an elf had to be killed in battle or die from grief, what fate would await them? Hello friends, it's Carl here, and in today's episode we'll be discussing the fate of the Elven Race. So I think I should clarify a few things first that will play a part in the rest of this video. So firstly, both elves and men have two parts to their being: their body, also known as the Hroa, and their spirit, the Fea. Despite this similarity, the fate of their spirits differed between the races, for elven spirits were bound to the world of Arda, while those of men were destined to leave the world, though no one knows where they would go to, apart from Eru Iluvatar, the god of Middle-Earth. Now, when an elf was slain, his spirit would be summoned to the halls of Mandos, an area in Valinor where spirits gathered. The majority of spirits accepted the summons, though it was also possible to reject them. However, rejecting them was often a sign of corruption or rebellion, or that the spirit had been tainted by evil. These spirits, known as the Houseless, would wander Middle-Earth, haunting objects such as trees and springs, or places that they once knew. It is said that some of these spirits, especially the most unworthy of them, would desire to communicate with the living, though this came at great risk. For some of these spirits desired to have a body again, and they could try to take over a living body or seek to enslave its host. We're told that most of these spirits would often be filled with regret, self-pity, bitterness, grievance, and envy, and that they were prone to being enslaved by Sauron or Morgoth. It's interesting to wonder what use he would find for them. Perhaps they could be used as spies, though I think it's more likely that they were the fell spirits that were used for dark practices, such as reanimating the Barrow-wights. Some spirits, known as lingerers, did not have evil intent, and they would not desire bodies or seek to converse with the living. However, on rare occasions they would communicate, either for the doing of some good, or because they perceive in a man's spirit some love of things ancient and fair. Anyway, if a spirit accepted the summons, they would be taken to the halls of Mandos, where the grief, evil, and wrongs they had sustained would be removed and redressed. The amount of time that the spirit stayed there for depended partly on the will of Mandos, who was the keeper of the dead, and partly on their own choice. This time was said to be a time of waiting, in which howsoever they had died, they were corrected, instructed, or comforted according to their needs. While the spirits dwelt there, they would often stay in solitude and would only turn to fellow spirits with whom they had a strong bond during their lifetime. Once a spirit had been cleansed, they would be offered a new body identical to their old one, though they could refuse this re-embodiment or postpone it. In Tolkien's earlier writings, he said that these spirits would be reborn and would experience childhood and growing up again, and as they grew older, the memories of their old life would return to them. However, it seems that later on in his lifetime, he moved away from this idea and stuck to re-embodiment. Some spirits who had committed great acts of evil during their lifetime, or who refused to atone for their deeds, could be prohibited from being given a new body, such as was the case for Feanor, who would remain in the halls of Mandos as a spirit until Dagor Dagorath, the apocalypse of Middle-Earth, where he would finally be given a body and reunited with the three Silmarils before presenting them to Yavanna. After being re-embodied, the elves would return to Valinor, though in Tolkien's later writings he says they could remain in Valinor or return to Middle-Earth if their home had been there, though I doubt many would choose to do so, especially after seeing the splendor, beauty, and tranquility of the Undying Lands. We know of two elves that returned to Middle-Earth, the first one being Lúthien, who chose a mortal life, while the other was Glorfindel, an elf of great power who had slain a Balrog during the First Age. There is a rare case which I feel I ought to mention, which is that of Feanor's mother, Miriel. After giving birth to Feanor, Miriel's spirit chose to abandon her body, which lay lifeless in Valinor, while her spirit went to the halls of Mandos. Her body was looked after and preserved, and she was later given permission to return to life, though instead of re-embodiment, her spirit simply returned to her body where it lay. In the rare case of an elf choosing mortality, such as Lúthien and Arwen, their fate would be changed and become like that of the race of men. Their spirits would no longer be bound to Arda, and when they finally passed away, they would leave the bounds of their world. I think it's quite interesting to wonder what would happen after Dagor Dagorath, when the world would be broken and remade. Tolkien had said that the elves would awake and all their dead arise, which would imply that they would still exist despite being bound to Arda. However, I wonder if the spirits that refused the summons and chose to remain in Middle-earth would be redeemed, or if they were fated to fade into nothingness. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, so drop a comment below telling me what you think. Anyway friends, this wraps up the video and I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out our Twitter and Facebook page, which I've linked in the description below, where you can contact me and send me artwork or any ideas that I could use in future videos. If you can, leave a like, cause it helps this channel immensely, and subscribe to join our fellowship today. I hope to see you all in my next video, where together we'll once again explore the magical world and lore of Middle-earth.